Hi, my name is John.
And I'm Lloyd.
And we are the hosts of Pint of Comics, a podcast all about pop culture. Lloyd, what do we do sometimes on Pint of Comics that people might want to know about before they listen?
Well, sometimes we drop spoilers and sometimes we swear like sailors.
So, if you're okay with that stuff, listen in and enjoy the show. Welcome back to another episode of Pint of Comics. We have made it to 2022. I am John, and with me is Stu. Stu, what's going on, buddy?
I just had to clean up cat pee, as I was telling you. We are 10, 15 minutes late starting to record because I was sitting in my basement getting ready, and I just kept getting a whiff of cat pee.
I'm glad you took care of it. I'm glad you're not the kind of person that was okay with the smell of cat pee.
I love cats. I would rather scoop a litter box than pick up dog crap. Like, I don't understand how you dog people do that. Like, you're just picking up a hunk of crap. Me, it's just like, oh, it's covered in litter. I don't know what this is. It's fine.
It's usually hot and steamy too. It's usually hot and steamy.
No, the cat pee smell though, that's tough. That's the worst of all of them. They pee and you got to figure that shit out. So we have like this weird like interchangeable litter box system, and the change out box I think was pretty rank. I just scrubbed that out, so hopefully that'll fix it. Can I admit to bad morality? I'm probably a lot of people's pet peeves. I don't have a dog, but occasionally if I have friends over or if I'm dog sitting, there will be a dog in my presence and I will take the dog for a walk. That dog shits, that shit is there. That's where that shit lives now.
Yeah, well, you know,
I'm not picking that up. I'm not. Sorry, world.
I guess it's offset by the fact that it's not your dog. If you owned a dog and you just refused, then I would say maybe someone should take the dog from you. But if you're doing someone a favor,
yeah, this is like maybe like once a year that I'll have people staying at my house and they'll bring their dog, and like once or twice that week while they're here, I'll be the one walking the dog. It's not like a regular thing, like literally 1 or 2 poops a year. I'm not cleaning up because it's not my dog. I'm not dealing with it.
I'll be honest, Lindsay takes care of a majority of the dog poop in our life and always has, but I've done my share too. And it took me a long time to get used to. There would be times that like we would take the dogs for a walk and be, you know, I don't know, fucking 100 yards away from our house, and one of the dogs will take a shit, and now I've got to pick it up with, you know, like covering my hand in a bag, pick it up, fold the bag inside out, and now, because, you know, you don't want to be a shithead, you're carrying this bag of shit on your walk with you. You know, it's like...
I know, that's absurd. It is. That stuff is literally fertilizer. It's just gonna melt into the ground and go away. Just don't deal with it. It's fine. It's fine, people.
I actually thought of that because, like, you know, we'll walk through the neighborhood and I'll have this bag of shit in my hand, and then someone will have their garbage can out because the garbage is coming that night.
Oh yeah, you just throw that in there. That's fine. That's what garbage is.
I don't, because people will look at you. You know, I got to be honest. If someone walked by my house and threw a poopy bag into my garbage, I wouldn't care. I would be like, okay,
well,
you know, as long as
adding garbage to garbage, my garbage is not so precious that it can't be intermingled.
People are not like that, man. People are weird. People are weird. So every year on the Pint, we'll usually come back at the beginning of the year, as this show is 2022. Happy New Year to everybody. We'll do an episode where maybe we pick our top 5 favorite movies of last year or whatnot. COVID has kind of made things really weird with movies in the last couple of years. We know that. We're not going to talk about that. So I had an idea with Stu. Me and Stu both watch a lot of movies, especially in the last couple of years. We both are fans of Letterboxd, which is a great website to kind of keep track of what you're watching. And I said, why don't we do a quick run through of all the movies that were released in 2021 that we saw? Okay. We're going to go through every movie that we saw that came out in 2021. Quick synopsis, quick thought on it. These might be movies, obviously, that you heard us talk about either on my podcast or Stu's podcast or in Stu's, you know, swoproductions.com, maybe an article. So we're not going to get super in-depth with them. But we're going to go through all the movies we saw that were made or released in 2021. And then at the end of the show, no ratings, none of that. We're just going to go over, out of all those each, our 3 favorites that we saw this year, and then one like fucking stink fest. Like, oh boy. Oh boy. So
when is this episode coming out?
This will be week 1 or 2 of 2022.
Okay, because I'm actually doing essentially an article on this also. It'll already be out. Go on swoproductions.com. I will have the extended version of what we're talking about here.
There you go. This
It's
is
a
this
two-part
is the,
article series of everything that came out in 2021.
this is the single. This is your singles. This is the hits right here. You know, this
Yes.
is NFL Red Zone again. All right, Stu, let's start with you. I have mine because I paid for Letterboxd Pro. I have.
Oh,
mine
you know
listed-
what? I actually, we were talking about this before we started recording. I can do it on my phone, what you were
Okay.
saying. I couldn't figure out how to do it on this site in my web
Oh.
browser. But even then, I'm going to go by the web browser because there are movies that are considered 2020, but they weren't actually mass released until this year. Like there's, I think, 3 or 4 movies on my list that I would consider 2021 new releases, but Letterboxd says they're 2020.
Why don't we start with you, Stu? I think you saw more movies than me this year or last year, so let's start with you. Obviously, at some point, we're going to go back and forth. I'll run out first, probably.
So the first one I have, what's considered the earliest one, this is another one that it wants to say is 2020, but I saw it in like August of this year in theaters. It's called The Night House. It stars Rebecca Hall. It's good. It's very good. Just if you're going to watch this movie, my highest recommendation would be look at the clock, see that there's about 15 minutes left, and shut it off and just pretend
Leave.
it didn't end. I have described this movie as it so doesn't stick the landing that it broke both of its ankles on the attempt.
Wow. Wow.
It's a really good movie for like a solid hour plus. Very creepy. Rebecca Hall is tremendous, just puts in a great performance. And then I got to the end and was literally just like, no movie, come on.
Why did you do that? Okay. So The Night House, I did want to see that. We did an episode last year where we talked about some trailers, and that trailer intrigued me. And it came and went. Like, you're right. It was supposed to be released last year. It got released. And then, like, I'm not kidding. I was at Walmart one day, and, like, within a month of it coming out in theaters, 'cause I remember when it came out in theaters, they had it at Walmart. And I was like, holy shit, this thing it flew out. First movie I saw that was released in 2021 is from the second half of his career that's celebrated very highly right now. Nicolas Cage in his renaissance. It's a little movie called Willy's Wonderland.
Okay, I didn't see that. I've heard there's no dialogue.
There is. He doesn't speak at all in the movie. At all.
Okay.
So, interesting choice. Very cool concept, okay? You could almost see this being an episode, and I think maybe it probably was an episode of Supernatural at one point. This little town has this, like, Chuck E. Cheese type restaurant that is purported to be haunted by the actual the animatronics that were at one point, the band there or whatever. Nicolas Cage is a stranger who strolls into town. He gets into some trouble. It's not great.
So this reference may or may not go over your head, but essentially this is Five Nights at Freddy's, the movie.
From what I know about Five Nights at Freddy's, yes.
Okay.
From what I know, yes. I really wanted to like it a lot more. Cage has done some stuff I've really liked a lot in the last couple of years, Mandy being one of them. But this one here just kind of falls flat. Interesting character choice. Like I said, he never says a word in the whole movie. There's some good kind of violent craziness with these like animatronic animals, and he's taking them out one by one. But overall, not worth watching. It's not that great. So Willy's Wonderland.
All right, so my next one, still in the movies that Letterboxd says is 2020, but I definitely saw this in theaters after COVID had started dying down back in the summer. A Quiet Place, Part 2.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I did. I rented that one night.
Okay.
And I enjoyed that, yes.
Yeah, it's better than I thought it would be, because I remember when I heard they were making a sequel to The Quiet Place, I was just like, no movie in the world less needed a sequel than A Quiet Place.
I 150% agreed. Yeah.
I was surprised when it came out because it is really good. And maybe it's because I had low expectations. I went in expecting like, oh, this is just going to be the action version of A Quiet Place where they take all the atmospheric terror and turn it into shooting monsters. But they did a pretty good job of keeping it very similar to the first. I don't know that it was needed, but it was good enough that I didn't have an issue with it.
Agreed. It's not on my list because I didn't think the same way you thought, and I think this is one of the only ones that might have been for me that I saw that was a technical 2021 release. So I'm going to add that to my list. I did see Quiet Place Part 2. It was fine. John Krasinski, shows up again for that. The first 15 minutes is really cool.
Mhm.
Kind of the origin story, a little bit of what happens. They did a good job by bringing in a solid lead with Cillian Murphy. He's not the lead, but like bringing in another male lead. I could definitely tell you by the time this movie ended, I was ready to be done with the Quiet Place universe, though.
Yeah, I don't need any more of this. Please don't kill this franchise. You've done
Exactly.
what you've needed to do with this.
February 2021, my wife and I watched this. We rented it. It was one of those $20 theatrical. Go to the theater, get COVID, which I would months later anyway, or watch it on TV. Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar.
What?
This is a really weird.
Never heard of this.
Oh yeah, this is a really odd Kristen Wiig movie.
Oh.
Kristen
Everybody
Wiig,
on Earth likes her more than me. I think she's fine, but
yeah, I'm the same way. She's okay. She's fine. She's funny. She's definitely a funny
Yeah.
comedian.
she feels forced funny sometimes. Like she's trying too hard to be funny.
I can agree. And this movie is just bizarre enough to say that it was worth watching, but it's not something that I'm going to recommend. It's very much in the line of like the Anchorman and like that like the Adam Kay kind of movies. I don't even know who the other woman in the movie was, but there's another female lead, and basically Barb and Star are these two, I don't even know if they say Wisconsin kind of like, oh, how you doing? Like very plain very plain women that go on they go to Vista Del Mar, which is this like island paradise. Like they do something crazy for the first time in their lives, and they end up entrenched in like international like spy games and stuff like that. So it's not a terrible movie. It's got some funny stuff, but in the end, not something that I'm going to go back to a lot. Not something I'm quoting every day. But yeah, Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar.
Jesus. That is a tough name. I don't know if
Yeah.
I like that. Speaking of things that we should never ever go back to, I can just say right now, one of the worst movies I saw, I think it was a Shudder original, at least I saw it on Shudder. It's called Honeydew. It's real bad. It's about a young couple and they're traveling and their car breaks down, of course, and they find this house that this old lady lives in and they're going to stay with her for the night, and shenanigans ensue. Here's my thing with this movie. I only ever will notice the score in a movie if it's exceptionally good or exceptionally bad.
Yeah.
And the score in this movie was distractingly terrible. Like, occasionally the score would just be somebody scatting, and sometimes it would just occasionally be somebody throat singing, or sometimes it would just be loud, weird noises that didn't fit in with anything that was going on. And it was so distracting. And it's just a bad, generic, kind of creepy thriller horror thing. It's not worth watching.
I can't wait to see if this ends up on Scary Larry's
Larry probably fucking loved it. I don't know.
Go to horrornewsnetwork.net. Probably right now. I could be wrong, but Larry always has his like top 10 or 20 horror movies of the year, and now I got to see his Honeydew on this thing.
Honeydew, yeah. It picks up a bit in the second half, but honestly, by the time it got worth caring about, I had already 100% checked out.
Speaking of checked out, my next brand new movie from 2021, which brand new is kind of questionable, but older movie with stuff added to it. Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Oh yeah. This is coming up for me too in a few. Yeah,
we discussed this on a live stream. You took a 2-hour movie that was very poorly looked at for being, I guess, not having enough to it, and then you added way too much to it. A lot of people love this thing. A lot of people hated it.
Well, let's put it this way: a lot of people, years before this movie came out, convinced themselves they were going to love it.
Yeah.
And then just did anyway because they wanted to. You can't convince me anybody genuinely thinks this is a great movie. It's not.
I honestly cannot think of a movie I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen long movies before, 3+ hours, stuff like that. I cannot think of a movie with this kind of extreme length where I felt more bored more often. Like there's people after this came out were like, they added this and they added that. I'm like, what did they add? They added the scene where when Aquaman jumps in the water, the Norwegian women start fucking, like, they take his sweater and they start running it through their legs. Like, who cares about any of that?
Yeah, and Cyborg Cyborg cyber stalks a poor woman, and it's like,
there was
these
nothing.
scenes? We didn't need these at all.
There was nothing that added to that fucking movie.
You can't tell me either of those scenes were better than the crap in the Joss Whedon version about the Bulgarian family or whatever. I cared about them 100 times more than I cared about the Flash getting a dog a hot dog.
Yeah, I'll absolutely agree with you. Although I am no big fan of it, if I ever have to watch this again, it's the Whedon version, just because it has the sensibility to tell its story, whether it's good or bad, give you a couple cool scenes, and get the fuck out within 2 hours. Not 4 hours, man. This took me like 3 nights to watch, and that's not just because we joke that I'm a sleepy guy and I'm at that age. This was a grind.
Yeah, this was an endurance test.
A total endurance test. My buddy Keith from Geek Time Network, he loved it, and he went and saw it in the theaters. Like, someone, I don't know if he did or someone rented the theater and had like 10 friends go. And I remember saying to him, how the fuck did you do that? How the fuck did you do that?
Like you said, the movie is slow and boring enough that it has definite built-in pee breaks. You
could just constantly pee through this movie for a good hour and a half, and you're not going to miss anything. So that's it. And then, like, they've really, like you said, they got to convince you that people love this thing. I think around Christmas time or right before Christmas, they released a black and white Blu-ray version.
Jesus.
So now you have to, like, if you loved it in color, you're gonna like, no, you're not. No, you're not.
Don't convince yourself that you're going to. Don't convince yourself.
That movie was fucking stupid. That was garbage. All right, Stu, what's the next one on your list?
The next one on my list, our friend Joey over at So Wizard. This is either his number 1 or number 2 movie of 2021. It's another one Letterboxd wants to say came out in 2020. It is Psycho Goreman.
I've got it. You know what? I'm going to add that to mine because it did not pop up on mine.
Yeah.
And again, that's a 2021 release. Okay, so I'm going to jump on that as well. Go ahead, Stu. What's that all about?
It's weird. It's a movie that, I mean, it knows exactly what it is. We're going to compare it to another movie coming down the pike in a little bit here, but it's a movie that obviously had a budget, but it wanted to present itself as like this C-list kind of 80s thing with these bad special effect aliens in like big rubber costumes that are clearly fake, but it's all taking the piss. It's a very funny movie. I didn't love it nearly as much as Joey, just because I spent the entire movie thinking that, like, boy, I would hate the people who made this movie, because you can tell they're so fucking proud of themselves for what they made.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's good. It's very entertaining. I definitely enjoyed watching it.
Same level. I love So Wizard. I listen to them all the time. They did this episode. I think all 3 of them were like high as shit on it. I ordered it, Blu-ray, I watched it, and at the end I went, that's a case of I enjoyed that, but certainly not as much as the podcast I love did.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great stuff. The one takeaway from that movie was the level of greatness with like of the practical effects and costuming. Yeah. There's that whole scene in the middle of the movie where, like, every time they go to like Psycho Goreman's planet, you have those weird creatures and, like, just all that stuff. I thought, wow, man, they put a ton of effort into this, a fucking ton of effort. And the same guy that made that movie a few years prior made a very different movie called The Void. Have you ever seen that?
I think I've heard of it.
Very cool, but like the exact opposite. So this is like this kind of goofy guy in a rubber suit, weird humor movie. And The Void is like this really fucking eerie horror movie.
Oh,
so,
okay.
So obviously the guy can go both fields. But yeah, so Psycho Goreman is on my list as well. Yeah, and totally enjoyable. There's one whole bit in the movie, kids and Psycho Goreman go out, and like halfway through watching this bit, you realize that Psycho Goreman is dressed like Dr. Alan Grant from Jurassic Park the whole time.
Yeah.
But there's no reason. They never discussed Jurassic Park.
Never explained it at all.
Somebody literally, somebody literally that day just said, dress him up like Alan Grant, all right? And they're like, okay, all right, let's do it. My next one, I think, is a Netflix original. It definitely was supposed to come out in 2021 or 2020 because I wanted to see it, and it did not come out until 2021. And it went right to Netflix because originally it was going to be a theatrical release. I'm a big fan of Jackass, so this was very much along the lines of Jackass. This is called Bad Trip. Eric Andre and little what's his name? Little Rel or little oh god, I can't think of his name right now. Little Rel Howery, I think.
Yeah. Lil Ray. I forget what. Yeah,
he was the friend.
I know
in
who
Get
you're
Out.
talking about.
He was the friend in Get Out.
Yeah, he's going to be in a movie I'm going to talk about in a little bit. We'll eventually get to a movie I saw with him in it. Yeah.
Okay, so Eric Andre, who's like this kind of weird performance artist, and he kind of does things along the Jackass lines, where sometimes it's like real, but people don't know what's happening. And this is a really weird movie because it's scripted, but a lot of like stunts and weird stuff happen in it. So a la like maybe a Bad Grandpa or a Borat, where not everybody's in on the joke, and it's just about these two guys that live in Florida that drive to, I think, L.A. to go after the girl one of them loves. And I enjoyed this movie quite a bit. There's a lot of cringe humor because, again,
so there's a story to it. It's not just
there's a story. So did you ever see Bad Grandpa? That was the Jackass movie. Bad Grandpa.
I know of that, but I've seen like commercials for that.
Right, and that's the Jackass movie that they did the same thing. It's got a story to it. Okay. But they still do all the crazy stunts and shit. And I think this was actually produced by Jeff Tremaine, Dick House Pictures, which does all the Jackass stuff. So it's part of that whole thing. Yeah, I just really enjoyed this thing. It's an hour and a half, and there's just some crazy stuff. There's some crazy stuff in this movie. It was totally enjoyable. So Bad Trip.
I think this is going to be the quickest one we talk about. The first one that Letterboxd considers to be 2021 on my list, Tentacles.
Oof.
I definitely remember watching the movie Tentacles.
You don't know what it was, do you?
I don't. It's about somebody who's actually secretly a tentacle monster. It's a horror movie. I'm pretty sure I saw it on Shudder. It wasn't bad, at least by the rating I gave it, but I couldn't tell you a damn thing that happened in it right now.
All right, that's fair. That gives us one to run right by. All right. Thank you, Tentacles, for being brief. Thank you, Tentacles, for your brevity. Big HBO Max thing. Everybody was waiting for it. Godzilla vs. Kong.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? I enjoyed the first two Godzilla movies quite a bit, the newer ones. I really loved Kong Skull Island. Like, I love Kong Skull Island. This one was, it was okay. It was, if you're looking for a giant monkey and a giant lizard to beat the fuck out of each other, then you're going to get what you paid for. If you're used to these movies completely disappointing on the human story and like that, you're going to get what you paid for. I've never gone back to this one so far, just because I thought, out of all of them, this might have been the least that I enjoyed. But I mean, there's at least 3 really epic fight scenes between the two of them, and then a whole bunch of like just human shit in the middle that really doesn't
nobody
matter.
Cares about. Yeah, but this movie is very Freddy versus Jason in that it gives you exactly what it promises to give you on the tin. And I'll honestly 100% say my reaction is the exact opposite of yours. Godzilla King of Monsters, Kong Skull Island, all 3 of those were fine. I didn't care about them. I watched this one and I was like, haha, monkey fight lizard, this is great.
So this one hit the stew button.
Yeah, it promised Godzilla fighting Kong. It gave that, and then it didn't even puss out and have like no clear winner. Like, this movie has a fucking clear winner. Yeah. And I really thought, like, how often do movies do that when they have 2 big studio things fighting each other? Usually there's so many creative things where it's like, oh, they have to go to a draw or their fight's inconclusive. No, this fucking fight has a winner.
But do you feel like, because I kind of felt this way, that the kind of, like you said, the pussification of it all was like the introduction of Mechagodzilla? Like, yeah,
but that doesn't happen until after Godzilla literally kills King Kong.
Yeah, okay. All right, fair.
Godzilla literally kills him, and then Mechagodzilla comes, they revive King Kong, and yeah, they have a team up. The only thing, this movie would have been a 5-star movie if it ended on a freeze frame of those two just jumping and high-fiving.
Did we just become best friends? Yeah!
5-star movie right there.
All right, so that's mine. That's Kong vs. Godzilla. Stu, what's the next one?
I guess you didn't see this because I have it listed before some you've mentioned. Bob Odenkirk in Nobody.
I have not seen that. I have not.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, you've got to see Nobody. It's a terrific movie. It's John Wick, but with Bob Odenkirk, and just very funny. 80-some-year-old Christopher Lloyd is in it, and he kicks ass at the end because they play him up like he's basically a vegetable. And then at the end of the movie, he shows up and he just starts kicking ass, and it's so worth it. This was a great movie. Odenkirk's always a winner. Loved him in everything he does. And
Agreed.
this just shows, like, boy, he can play virtually anything.
You know, my buddies over at Insufferable Bastards love this thing. I'm pretty sure Scary Larry has told me I got to see it. Nobody has told me.
Another shout out to Joey. Joey loves this from So Wizard. I know he does.
Yeah, Mike Simonetta, who's one of the cult classics guys that does shows with us all the time. I think Mike, I tend to have a lot of agreement with Mike in terms of some of the movies that people might be hyped on. We both kind of agree, like whether it was good or bad. And sometimes I think I could tell what Mike's going to say. It might have actually been on a recent episode where it got brought up, because I remember he was like, you got to see Nobody. And I was surprised because he's not always the guy that goes along with like what a lot of people seem to go with. And he loved it too. So yeah, that's all I hear about it. Nobody.
Yeah, it's tremendous.
My next one is not tremendous. It also has the name Zack Snyder attached to it. Army of the Dead.
Yeah.
This movie could have been really good. Just didn't know like where it wanted to fucking land its finger. Like this thing
it's not mess. Funny. It's not funny. It's not scary. The action is okay, but not enough to make up for how not funny or scary it is. It's this weird, it doesn't do anything well. It tries to be a little bit of everything.
At one point, it tries to introduce the fact that maybe the characters are in a time loop, but they never, and then at another point, if you pay attention to like online chatter and stuff, they try to point out that some of the zombies are actually robots, which if you do watch,
they are.
So like, but where does this come into play? And then, then you start to hear that, okay, well, they're going to do a prequel, a cartoon. And then they actually did, I haven't seen it. They did a prequel movie that has no zombies in it. It's just about the German safecracker, which I haven't watched, but it's like, pick a lane. This movie's all over the place. Dave Bautista apparently turned down the Peacemaker role in Suicide Squad.
Oh no, Dave, what have you done?
Yeah, well, James Gunn, right? And James Gunn offered him Peacemaker, and he said, you know what? I want to try to be like the front guy. I want to have the movie on my back. And you know what? That's very cool for him because I like him, but he picked the wrong movie, man, because, Cena picked up the slack, and now obviously we got a TV show coming that looks really good. Yeah. We'll talk about Suicide Squad in a few minutes, but yeah, so Army of the Dead, man, I another one, overly long. I will say I love the beginning. I love the whole beginning scene with the army convoy losing the package, and then like you kind of see where the zombie outbreak starts, and much like several other of his movies, the credit sequence was really cool, and then it just dies. It just fucking dies. Army of the Dead. That's it.
All right, my next one, boy, I'm going to praise this movie so much more than it deserves. I watch a lot of horror movies on Shudder, man. Dawn of the Beast. It is a very low budget indie horror flick on Shudder. And for about the first 2 acts, you're watching this movie, and this movie direly wants to be Evil Dead 2013. It saw that remake of that series and was like, yes, but us. And this movie has no money, and you can tell, but it works within the constraints of its budget. It's creepy without having to show you too much, and what it does show you is in shadows, so the effects aren't going to be good. Right. But then, in the 3rd act, they give us a scene where, like, the main character's about to be devoured by an army of Wendigo, and a fucking Sasquatch shows up and starts fighting the Wendigos, and I laughed for about 5 minutes. And it's just like, movie, if you told me in this movie a Sasquatch will fight an army of Wendigo, I'm fucking in. I'm in. That's all you need to tell me. That's Godzilla versus Kong. That's all I want in life. Just give me that. And it gives me that, and I was happy.
Dawn of the Beast. I don't think you can come up with a more generic title. Like a more generic fucking title. Army of the Dead, Dawn of the Beast. Let's just give up on the titling aspect, okay, guys? No, okay, cool, no problem.
Blank of the blank, and then you just pull words out of a hat.
Blank of the fart of the wild. Yes, that's it. Fart of the wild. Okay, so I've not heard of that one. I think on the recent episode of Insufferable Bastards, when they asked the questionnaire episode, I think you mentioned that you loved that scene. It was like,
I think I said that was the best scene of the year.
Because I remember listening to it going, Wendigo and Sasquatch? What movie is this? My next one was my first trip back to the theater. since January, or technically since January of 2020, pre-COVID. Our buddy Dan from BoomTube Comics kind of had a private screening of Black Widow, and had Lloyd and myself went, and a bunch of other people that we're familiar with from the great BoomTube Comics over there in Southington, Connecticut, Clay and Ray and all these folks. It was like the second week, I think, that Black Widow was out. So we went, we were all very safe, had our popcorn. It was very nice. It's a movie that the experience will always overshadow the movie. It was nice to get out again. It was nice to be in a theater. It was nice to be with my friends. It is an extremely low level to middling Marvel film, MCU film. It's unnecessary. You know what I mean? Like to me, the Black Widow movie screams Disney Plus TV show.
Yeah, you know what? Speaking of that, what has really redeemed the Black Widow movie for me, and I'm sure you haven't watched it, is the Hawkeye series.
I have not, and I know that Florence Pugh shows up.
Yes,
because she was the best part of the movie. Period.
Well, I like David Harbour. I liked him as Red Guardian.
I did too, but I still think she was the best part of the movie.
Retroactively, I think that now too, because she was great in Hawkeye. Her playing with Haley Steinfeld's Kate Bishop character was so good, and it made me retroactively like Black Widow more. It's funny to me how Kevin Feige can do that. He can take like Thor: The Dark World was a bad movie, but then he just throws so many of these elements into Avengers Endgame, and I'm like, wait, was Thor: The Dark World better than I thought? It's probably not, but now I care more about it.
Well, look, that's a whole other podcast. The guy is an entertainment genius. You know what I mean? Like he obviously knows what the fuck he's doing. But yeah, Black Widow, to me, I don't want to say lower tier, but like very
it's like bottom third.
Yeah. It's a prequel to a character we've seen die, so the stakes can't be that high. There were some good moments in the movie for sure, and I enjoyed it. I definitely didn't leave the movie going, fuck, that was stupid. But, we actually did an episode on it, me and you. Mm-hmm. And, it's got so many of the tropes, the everybody falling out of the sky at the end. And it's like, okay, I've seen this 1,000 times in the last 2 years. So yeah. But yeah, the inclusion of Florence Pugh as Yelena and Harbour as, what was his name? Yuri? Was it Yuri? Something like that?
Oh, I just remember Red Guardian, but Guardian. His real name, I think, yeah.
And and let's not forget Rachel Weisz.
Who, like we said, looks like she's aged about 2 years since The Mummy in 1999.
Yeah. And did you notice real quick? I wanted to mention this because I noticed it, and then I saw someone comment on it on on Facebook when Scarlett Johansson sued Disney over that whole thing in the summertime or whatever. Right around the time that Black Widow was coming out on Blu-ray and I think Disney Plus, all the ads for Black Widow featured Rachel Weisz on the ad that were on Facebook. And I'm like, they're boxing Scarlett Johansson out. And I went in one time and all the comments were, do you think it's kind of funny that they're not showing her? I'm like, wow, that is weird. Because
in
Rachel
literally
Weisz,
her movie.
In her movie. And Rachel Weisz, it would make more sense if you put Elena on the because she's more of a main character. Rachel Weisz is like a very background character. Well, not very background, but she's got a much smaller role. I just thought that was kind of funny. All right, Stu, that was Black Widow for me. What do you got?
Next up, I have, and boy, you're getting real ahead of me here on some.
I told you. You but saw more than I did.
I have Mortal Kombat. Not good. Don't see Mortal Kombat. It's
avoided it.
The protagonist of the movie is not a character from the games, and why would you make that choice? That there are so many characters you could have picked to do the movie from any character's perspective, but you're like, no. We have this guy named Bill or something, and he's the star of. Oh, it's just not good. It's not entertaining. I think if I recall correctly, when you get to the very end, there's a very awesome Sub-Zero versus Scorpion fight, which they showed you 60% of in the trailers anyway.
Right.
And that's the only thing worth seeing in this movie.
Here's the ley line, and I didn't care. You and I did an episode with Joey and Mark from So Wizard where we talked about Annihilation. I'm not a huge fan of this stuff. Annihilation was so bad that I couldn't get psyched for Mortal Kombat anyway. But here's the ley line that every podcast that I listen to and every friend I have that's seen it is the same thing. The opening scene is great. And then it falls apart. I guess there's a in the past, kind of
It's Scorpion and Sub-Zero, and they have a fight in like feudal Japan before they're Scorpion and Sub-Zero.
Everybody says that scene's great, and then the rest of the movie happens. And and I've gotten to a point in my life with TV and movies where if enough people seem to be negative about it, I don't want to sound like the guy that goes along with the crowd, but I'll be the guy that goes along with the crowd simply for the fact of I could do this instead of that.
Yeah.
Like, and then once in a while, sure, I'll see something and go, man, more people were wrong about that than were right. But like, if I have enough people tell me, nobody was like, oh, you got to check out Mortal Kombat, dude. Nobody, and I'm a podcaster who deals with a ton of podcasters, and I have a bunch of nerd friends. So if I'm not hearing that it's great, it probably ain't great. You know what I mean?
No, it's I definitely, knowing what I know about your taste, you wouldn't care for it. You may find it adequate at best, but you're not going to love it.
We talked about this a minute ago. Me and you did an episode about it. Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad. James Gunn comes back, makes the sequel / reboot, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to lie. I love this movie. I absolutely loved it. I made it a point when it was, I wanted to see it in the theaters and couldn't. I made it a point that, during its 30-day window on HBO Max, I watched it twice. I got it. I asked my wife for Christmas for the Blu-ray, and I'm going to watch it again soon. I really enjoyed this movie. Sir John was always a huge fan of the original Suicide Squad. He kind of got me into going back and reading a lot of that stuff. I've always been familiar with the concept. I think it's great. I, on my own, had read like a lot of the New 52 Suicide Squad and stuff that was Harley Quinn and Deadshot. I love James Gunn's sensibilities in filmmaking, where he can make this like hyper violent yet completely funny story. And I just loved the characters. I loved, I'm episodic TV. I'm very like, I haven't watched Hawkeye yet. I never finished Loki. I'm very much like, I'll get to it when I get to it. But I'm literally like waiting for Peacemaker to drop. Peacemaker, I will watch the night it comes out.
Nice.
And I, who is this character? I don't fucking know. He's a Charlton character, got absorbed by DC, but I liked him enough in the movie, and I want to see what they're doing with it. And it's James Gunn. Like, again, it's not just like he said, okay, take this and run with it. He's in charge of the thing. So Suicide Squad for me was totally not disappointing. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, same thing. No need to really, go too hard into that. We have a whole episode and you just said everything. It was great. It's my number 6 on the year, which goes to show that there were 5 movies that I absolutely loved because I really liked Suicide Squad.
All right. What's your next film, Stu?
My next film, let's see. You talked about Army of the Dead, so that brings up The Conjuring. The Devil Made Me Do It.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Fine. It's
yeah.
I could take or leave these movies. I think they're really well made. The Annabelle movies are what they are. The 2 Conjuring movies have been fine. It's a horror franchise that I think is good, but not great. And then this one, it's weird to me. Like, you have this franchise and there are demons and you have the Warrens and there are possessed items and there's a possessed doll and there's a possessed suit of ninja armor and there's all this stuff. And then in this movie, there's a witch and she has magic powder. And I was like, no, movie, this is a bridge too far. I don't know why this is just a little too much for me, but there's like a scene where this witch comes out of nowhere and she throws powder in Patrick Wilson's eyes and he goes evil for a little bit. And it's like, nope, didn't need magic powder in this franchise. I don't know. I don't know why that was too much for me in a series about a doll, but
Stu has a line. It's invisible and undiscernible, and you can't answer to it, but he knows when it's been crossed.
Yeah, like sometimes you can have a movie about Wendigos and a Sasquatch appears, and I'm like, yes. And then sometimes you have a movie about demons and somebody has magic dust, and I go, no.
All right, so The Conjuring, I didn't watch that. I saw The Conjuring 1 in the theaters with my wife years ago, and it was fine. It was totally fine.
It's a good horror movie, very much based around jump scares, but
there was a lot of good jump scares.
Well,
I'm from Connecticut. The Warrens are a Connecticut staple. People out here, are very familiar, with that whole thing. It just, I don't know, just the second one never saw it. And when this one popped up on HBO Max, I remember thinking one night, like, maybe I'll watch this. And then I just didn't. You know what I mean? It was like, no big deal. So, all right. So my next one, I was asked to do the Nomcast. My buddy Andrew Morgan, great podcast, which you've been on as well as me. Back in like August, we were going to do 2 movies. And it was just, I don't remember what was going on, but like between work and personal stuff, I was having a hard time getting both movies in before the recording. So long story short is I watched one of the movies, never got to watch the second one, and I had to cancel my appearance. And I think my buddy Christopher Odell, who was going to be on anyway, went on and did it. And so I watched this movie for nothing, which really sucks because it's a Netflix original. Obviously, the Nomcast, that's what he does. It was called Beckett. And this was very much a 1970s kind of movie made for today's day and age. It stars John David Washington, who is the son of Denzel Washington, who is the star of Tenet.
Oh.
Okay, he was the
Okay.
protagonist.
Who's the star of Tenet?
He was the protagonist in Tenet.
Okay.
All right. And he plays a character named Beckett.
Oh, this guy. I thought you meant Denzel Washington. I was like, Denzel Washington was definitely not in Tenet, and that is not how I would refer to Denzel Washington.
That's
I
his
see what
son.
you mean.
It's his son. So he plays a guy named Beckett who is on vacation in, I think, Greece with his girlfriend, and she gets killed in a car accident. And there is, they witness something they shouldn't see. And essentially it becomes this movie about this American in another country trying to get to safety while being pursued by all these different, like the cops are bad, and he goes to the American embassy, and the embassy guy is bad, and just isn't interesting enough to have to. And again, I call it a 70s movie because it's very much a 70s movie, right? With a guy, and there's a conspiracy, and he's on the run, and there are some great movies that follow that. This is not one of them. This is not memorable in any way, shape, or form. It's an actionless action movie.
Oh, no.
At the very end, when he goes to the embassy, I can't think of the guy's name, but I like the actor. He shows up, and I thought, oh, fucking cool. He played the Reaver villain in Logan, Donald Pierce. I can't think of his name. Blonde guy.
Yeah, I don't know his name, but yeah, I can picture him. Yeah,
good looking blonde guy. He always plays kind of like a shitbag when he's in something, and he plays a shitbag in this. And I thought, okay, this guy's going to really pick it up, and he doesn't pick it up either. So yeah, unfortunately, I would have loved to have dumped on this back in August on the Nomcast, and I didn't get a chance. So here, I'll do it now. Beckett, fuck you. You weren't good.
All right, so my next one. Do you remember mere weeks ago on the Insufferable Bastards podcast when they talked about documentaries, and I basically was like, yeah, I don't watch documentaries because I'm not a 65-year-old white dude. Yes. I did watch one documentary this year, so I will talk about the documentary Val regarding the life of Val Kilmer. And it's fine. It's a documentary. Documentaries to me are the reality TV of movies, where it's like they want to say like, oh, this is all real, but it's all very clearly being done for a documentary, so I can't get that invested in it. Like, here's Val Kilmer walking around, and sometimes he's in a wheelchair, and it's all very sad because he's Val Kilmer and he's got the throat thing and he talks with the little buzzy thing. But I don't know, it felt really melodramatic. Like, I kept waiting for it's like, oh, and then something happy happened to him. But it's like, you can't tell me your entire life was just suffering after suffering after suffering, Val Kilmer. Something good happened to you at some point. And right. I don't know. It's fine. Like you said, it's a documentary. It's Val Kilmer's life. I watched it because the trailers made it look interesting. But yeah, when I got in, it was people talking about Val Kilmer. And it's like, all right, yeah, it's a documentary. It's not for me.
Yeah, I avoided it. Subject matter, just, I looked at it and I went, I don't want to be saddened today. And then a week later when I would go, oh, maybe I'll watch it, I'd go, I don't want to be saddened today. So it's just, unfortunately it is what it is. It's about a guy that we've all seen, up in the stratosphere, and now he's at a point where, life is, dealt him a rough hand, and it very well could be an interesting story, but I don't know. I have, the older I get, the less mode I have for watching real life sadness. You know what I mean? And that's what I kind of felt like. And everybody I know that saw it said the same thing. Like you were all on the same lines. Like, it was good, but hey, it's depressing because, he's got the voice thing, and
yeah,
he was ravaged by cancer. So it's just like, I don't know, maybe someday, hopefully a long time from now, when he's gone, and I'm saying a long time from now, it'd be something I could kind of watch and be more reflective on it. But with it being his current situation, it just, I don't know.
If you're celebrating his life, it's easier than watching that and being like, oh yeah, guy's in bad shape. That makes me sad.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. My next one, talked about this one. We had differing opinions. And it's funny because I see your side of the opinion. So it's not like an argument. Candyman.
Oh, yeah.
I greatly enjoyed the new Candyman. But that being said, and me and Larry did an episode on it, me and Larry saw it together, I can completely agree with almost all the criticisms in terms of it is the rare Hollywood movie that's too short. Boy, oh boy, could someone have written another 20 minutes into the third act of this movie and really fleshed it out. And they did not. I mean, this movie is, I think, an hour and 30 minutes. As a matter of fact, we're talking right after Christmas. My wife got me I asked for the Blu-ray because what I liked about this movie, I fucking loved. I felt like the atmosphere, I felt like there was so much to like about this movie, except it's so incomplete, and I don't want to, spoil it too much, but it goes from minute 1 to minute, 89, and you feel like, my God, man, there's still got to be at least another 25 minutes, and then it fucking ends. Like, it literally the walls come crashing down. So, like, I remember you had said when we talked about it at one point, and you had never seen the original.
Yeah.
I think that's a big piece of it, is that I'm a huge fan of the original, and this one has some really great ties to the original, and it makes it very clear this is not a reboot. This is a sequel. This is building on what happened in the original. But unfortunately, Jordan Peele, Nia DaCosta, the writers of this thing, they just, and the biggest disappointment I had was when she gave me the Blu-ray for Christmas and I opened it up, I looked desperately for deleted scenes or director's cut. No, this is it.
Oh.
So this is it. So I can only imagine out there's got to be 15 more minutes somewhere, but Candyman.
I can say for this movie, 100% my not enjoying this movie was on me. Like, I'm not faulting the movie. I think the movie was well made. I think the movie was well acted. The directing, it's a very well made movie. But like you said, I never saw the original, and I went into this expecting a remake. I thought this was going to be a reboot, a remake, something along those lines. So when I got in and it was essentially a 30 years later sequel, I just didn't know what was going on. Like, right. I just didn't know, like, why are there multiple Candymen? Why, if the Candyman has existed since slavery era, but the only one that had anything to do with candy was the one from 1970 who gave people candy, why is he called Candyman? Did they call him something else before that guy? Why was there a whole subplot about the girlfriend's father where she's like, oh yeah, my father's crazy, and like that goes no.
You got knocked out. I don't hear you at all.
I hit the mute button waving my hands.
Oh, okay.
I'm so dramatic when I talk, and I smacked my mute button.
I'm not even delete that. That's hilarious. I'm like, where did he go?
I'm being so dramatic, and yeah, you're signaling you can't hear me, and I look over and I'm like, oh, the light's blinking.
It was a good movie that to me just like fell flat at the end. I'm gonna watch it again. Obviously, I own it. And there was a lot, like you said, there's a lot of questioning. And if you watch I think the original or the original sequel, I think they said they call him Candyman because when they killed him, they slathered him in honey, and that's where the bees part comes from. So like sweets to the sweet, all that stuff. But still, they should have marketed it better, because that's a problem. We've talked about this millions of times. Is you can't tell anymore. Is this a reboot? Is it a sequel? Is it like in a different universe?
Everything's just called what the last movie was called.
Right. It's like, I understand if you don't want to ever put a number after anything anymore, like, because that would technically be Candyman 4. So I get it. If Candyman 3 came out in 1995, I get that you don't want to call this Candyman 4 because that's alienating a lot of people, but you can still call it like Candyman The Return, and people then would go, oh, okay, all right, well, this has happened before, I'll check it out. But you throw a number on there, I get it. I get that that's not going to work. All right, Stu, what's your next movie?
My next movie is not a movie. My next movie is 3 movies. So we're going to talk about the Fear Street trilogy on Netflix, which was so much better than they had any right to be. Because I went into these movies thinking, all right, this is all about the gimmick. 3 feature-length movies being released, in subsequent weeks. This is just about the gimmick, and it's R.L. Stine, so the quality level is going to be to begin with. But boy, I really enjoyed those. I thought they were exceptionally well made. And the first one is kind of a respectful nod to Scream, and the second one is kind of a respectful nod to Friday the 13th. and the third one's kind of a respectable nod to like The Crucible, which is an odd choice, but they all work in their own regards. And I wanted to see the next movie every time one of them ended. And when it got to the end, I said, all right, if they make any more, they're going to be bad, but I will watch them because this trilogy was surprisingly good.
I'm still going to watch it. I didn't watch it. Me and you actually did a trailer episode. And
that's right.
We had that included, and neither of us knew what it was. And it was like coming out the next week, and I remember we were both like, "Oh, we'll check it out." I never got around to it, but you're not the only person I know who has said that that if not, one or two of them, that they were all great. So I definitely want to check it out.
To me, the first one was the weakest. I've heard other people say the third one is the weakest. I think the overwhelming opinion is the second one is the best.
Okay,
but you get past the first one where they're setting everything up, and then I really like the story as it goes.
My next one is I don't know if you consider this a Netflix original. Flipping through Netflix one night, couldn't find anything to watch, and I saw, the thing starts to run, the trailer. So it's a German movie called Prey, Prey, and it's about, I think, 5 guys, and they're out on one of their guys' bachelor party, essentially their bachelor weekend, and they're in the woods coming back from camping over the weekend, and they set up there's tensions between these guys in different reasons, in different ways. A pair of them are brothers, and as they're walking back to their car, one of them gets shot, and you quickly realize that there's a sniper hiding in the woods, and that's the whole movie. The whole movie is these 5 guys, slowly less and less of these guys getting terrorized by this sniper. A couple years ago, there was a Netflix original that I did an episode of the Nomcast with Andrew on, and I loved it, called The Ritual. That was a similar idea. A bunch of guys go hiking, and it's supernatural. And that movie, I love that movie. So when I saw this, I went, oh, similar idea. Hopefully if it maintains the same feeling. It doesn't. As it goes along, as you find out who the sniper is and the reasoning, it just kind of gets further and further away. And it just kind of quickly became, okay, hitting the display button, 10 more minutes. Okay, fine. So yeah, Prey, it's a German film. I think it's presented as a Netflix original. If you look at Netflix, 90% of those movies are considered Netflix originals that they buy up from, they're selling this over here. It's a Netflix original. Yeah, so no need to watch it.
Yeah. Is that the one that you said had the terrible ending where it seems like the person might win and then it just kind of bones out? Or was that the Ritual?
That was on Shudder. That was another sniper movie.
Oh, okay.
Down Road. Fucking pissed me off, that ending of that movie.
So my next one, I'm surprised you didn't see this one. I would have bet money you saw this. Nicolas Cage again. Nicolas Cage and his little pet pig.
I saw Pig, but I just saw Pig last week.
Oh, yeah. It didn't merit making the list.
No.
I'm going to talk about a movie I saw last night. So.
Well, no, I'm going in order of when I watched.
Oh, when you watched. Okay. Yeah.
So okay,
I have them by when they came out. So okay, that makes sense then.
All right. So
Pig, really good movie. It's like Candyman, but for a different reason. The performances are great. The atmosphere is great. It's very well made. You can tell they had a 60-minute plot and just strained as hard as they could to get it to 90 minutes. And I know people were saying like, oh, this is the movie of the year. This is the best movie of the year. This is one of the top 5 movies of the year. Quality-wise, great movie. Needed to be edited and needed to allow itself to just be 60 minutes. There are scenes.
This movie is overrated.
There are scenes that just like linger, and you can tell it's like the camera is just like, all right, hold on, we need a few more seconds of runtime here.
Yeah, completely overrated movie. So many people, to get back into our buddies, the Insufferable Bastards, they love to make fun of my and your taste, and they always joke on their show about me and, well, if doesn't have lasers or it's not an MC, they don't even know because they don't listen to the show. I listen to their show though because I love their show. But like this is like they both told me like movie of the year. Brian, who's the secondary guy on that, who's the effects makeup guy, he said it before on the show. He'll play Pig in the background all day long while he's working on prosthetics and stuff. And so last week I had COVID and I watched a ton of movies, and Pig was on Hulu, and I'm like, oh cool, I don't have to pay for it. And I watched it one afternoon, and it was so fucking dour. It's such a dour movie. And then there's little things about it, like, okay, so the performance from Nicolas Cage is good for sure, but he's just playing a subdued, depressed guy. It's not like he's doing anything that like another good actor couldn't do. One of the things that bothered me about this movie more than anything, and this is like, I know this is reaching, and I don't usually reach. That's usually a Lloyd thing. But I'll reach.
Calling out Lloyd when he's not here.
Oh, absolutely. I'll call it Lloyd when he's here, when he's not here, wherever he is. This movie takes place in the kind of like high cuisine world of Portland, Oregon. Yet Nicolas Cage, who looks like he hasn't bathed in a year and a half to 2 years and is covered in blood, just keeps popping up in all these fancy restaurants and shit.
Big classy restaurants.
And nobody says a word. Like, there's a scene where he goes to a classy restaurant, like for a lunch with the guy who plays like his partner, essentially, through the movie. And he's fucking disgustingly filthy. And there's not even, if you watch the movie, there's not even people at other tables like looking at him. Because I'll tell you what, they would be.
They would be. And I was looking for the same exact thing. I was looking like, why is nobody in the background reacting to this?
Yeah. You know, so the idea is his pig gets kidnapped by these meth heads and he's after the pig. And they treat, like, halfway through the movie, right? I'm gonna give you a minor spoiler for this. It's a truffle pig. And he plays an ex-chef who had a breakdown because his wife died. He lives in the forest, and people come to him to buy truffles. They know he has the pig, and they know that, you know, that's the secret, right? Pig gets kidnapped, and they want to help him find the pig because they need these truffles. The big reveal halfway through the movie is Nicolas Cage goes, I don't even need the pig. I could find the truffles. I just need the pig because I love the pig. It's like, no fucking shit. It's your pet. Like, I don't know. I felt like it was a simple, well-made movie that was very heavy-handed. I don't know. And it was dour. You have to be in the right mood. So yeah, I'm with you, Stu. I enjoyed it. Man, people that are going on about this is the best movie of the year. No, it's not. I feel like that's the Zack Snyder effect again, where it's like people just want to say that because they want to come across as smart, because this movie is very smart. This movie is very subversive, but needed to be 60 minutes, did not need to be an hour and a half. Cut half an hour out of this movie, and I could see being like, oh yeah, that's a great feature-length thing, but nah. And I want to throw out there as well, everybody is on Nicolas Cage because I get it. You know, it's a return. You know, he's done several things in the last couple of years, like Mandy and Willy's Wonderland, where he's playing like kind of like these out there characters. This is kind of a return to him seriously playing a serious character, like this sullen guy. But in all honesty, I thought the kid from Hereditary. I've never seen Hereditary, but I know the kid was in Hereditary, who plays like his kind of sidekick in the movie, was better than he was. Oh yeah, I think his name's Alex Wolff. I think he's great. He's great in everything. He's great in movies that I don't like. Yeah, he was great in this. He legitimately played a character that, based just on his acting alone, you could tell he was hiding stuff. You know what I mean? You could see the subservience to his father, like just in dialogue alone. And Nicolas Cage sleepwalks through this movie. He never has an emotion. It's all sullen, and it's all, I don't know, again, so, okay, it's an okay movie, but... All right, that was Pig. My next movie... Oh, fuck. HBO Max, big horror film of the year. No! You go one way or the other. I go the other way. Did we talk about this once on another show? We didn't do... we might have brought it up. Oh, this isn't what I think it is then. Okay, never mind. Oh, no, we did a show on another one soon. Okay. This is one that I saw... the night before CT Horror Fest. Lloyd and Chris Frodell both saw it as well. So those are the guys I was with the Horror Fest with them together there. I know, and we were going to record, and like somehow it was like, well, maybe we could talk about that. And I was like, I don't want to talk about this movie. I have no interest in podcasting about Malignant. I get it if James Wan was going for what he went for. We're going to make the most ridiculous, like crazy out there 1985 VHS like crazy horror movie with a insane twist. This movie sucked from beginning to end. I absolutely dislike this movie to no extent. It's not one that, like, I've seen other movies that I've disliked, and then years later I go back and go, hey, there's some merit there. If I see this again in a couple years from now, I'm going to go, that movie fucking sucked. I hated it. I don't even want to say slowly. I did not care for this movie when it came out at all. I gave it a 1-star review. I don't think it's well made.
I think it's the opposite of it's Sharknado is what it is. They gave it a ton of money. Here's a big budget to intentionally make a bad movie. And I don't like that.
Yes.
I like bad movies that are so bad they're good because they're trying, just things are going wrong. This is,
Right.
You have a huge studio backing you. You have $1 billion to just make trash. That's not special to me. That said, man, the balls on this movie, because it did not market itself as what it was. And I want more movies to take risks the way this movie took risk. I didn't like this movie, but boy, I appreciate its existence. And I hope it did well financially so that we can get more stuff like this. I just thought, like, yeah, I don't want $1 billion movie with people who can't act.
Right.
It doesn't make any, when the dialogue is abhorrent and the acting is even worse. Like, I don't need that. That's Sharknado. I don't want that in my life. But boy, the fact that a big studio threw hundreds of millions of dollars probably into this movie combined with its marketing and let it be what it was, let James Wan make fucking this. Boy, I respect that.
I could see that. I could see where the idea of the model and or what it could be, what it could introduce is interesting. But man, it was a failure on every level. Failure. I could not wait for this movie to end. Within 20 minutes, I was like, get this done. Get this done. I definitely make it a point. I don't shut movies off. So I always try to like finish them. I've like we joke, I've fallen asleep on terrible movies that I'm not even podcasting for, that I don't have to watch. And I will watch the rest of them the next day because I feel like, hey, what if this thing does a fucking 180 in the last 20 minutes? At least I could say, hey, look, they gave it the college try. But Malignant, that thing could have ended at any point. I would have been okay with it.
Last note I'll say on Malignant is, earlier I mentioned Dawn of the Beast, and I said, like, boy, low budget movie, and then it gave me Sasquatch and Wendigos, and I laughed and laughed. When this movie revealed what was going on, I laughed and laughed, and I thought nothing can take that away from me. I don't know if I was supposed to in this movie, but I had a good solid belly laugh at the reveal in this.
As you should have. All right, Stu, what's your next movie?
My next one, let's see, I had Pig. M. Night Shyamalan just keeps making movies, whether we want him to or not. And in 2021, he released Old, which, for like 2/3 of the movie, genuinely very good. Very good movie for about 2/3. And then it's another one, it's like I mentioned with The Night House, where it's like, boy, he just could not figure out the ending to this movie and just went off the rails. But for about an hour, this is a very engaging, interesting movie with some good performances, giving some typically bad Shyamalan dialogue.
Right.
But what's going on is very interesting. And then I feel like it's like Malignant. It's like a lot of movies. I'm not talking about spoilers, but then you know what it is from the trailers. It's people end up on a beach and they're aging rapidly. Stuff is good until it's not. Like, there are 2 back-to-back characters that die in this movie, like in the span of 5 minutes, and their deaths are so absurd that I don't know if you're supposed to take them seriously, but I couldn't. And then the movie lost me because it never got better after that.
He's done that even in his good movies. And then if you go to like something like The Happening, where it's like, is he in on the joke or is he not seeing that this is a joke? Like, is this real to him? Like, this is real. You know, the scene that's always referenced in a lot of podcasts, they do the soundbite on the countdown all the time in the Happening, when the old lady is like, were you trying to steal from me? It's like,
what?
No. But like that has become like this funny sound bit to all of us on set day 50 of that movie with Shyamalan, like, oh man, Wahlberg, that is it. You know what I mean? Like, you really captured it right there. So like a lot of times you can't really tell if he's in on the joke or not. And I can see when we did maybe it was the episode with you, or it might have been another one. We did a trailer episode, and that was one of the trailers, and we both agreed. I think all 3 of us agreed, I want to see that. And then as soon as that thing like kind of plopped out onto home video and I had the access to see it, I was like, I don't think I want to see it, because I had a feeling, like what you just said, I'm going to get 3/4 of the way through this super interesting concept and then failure. You know,
I will wholeheartedly say, like, this movie is more good than bad. I came out of this movie with positive feelings for it. I don't know if this is great praise or not, but it's a better Shyamalan movie like top 5, top 6, but I mean, how many good ones does he have? But
Right.
yeah, it's just how much you're going to let the ending disappoint you. But it is a good ride there. So it's one of those journey versus destination, which ones you care about more.
Okay. My next movie, shown at Connecticut Cult Classics back in, I think September, Larry did a double feature of local horror movie directors that had 2 movies coming out. The first one from our buddy Curtis Spieler, who we've talked about before. He did a movie called The Devil's Well and Sheepskin, and it was called The Dead Girl in Apartment 3. The movie that I always want to call The Dead Girl in Apartment 6, but it's Dead Girl in Apartment 3. Young girl living in New York City. She has no friends. She's recently broken up with her boyfriend. She lives in an apartment with a female roommate that she doesn't really know. It's like kind of like they got thrown together. And she finds her dead in the beginning of the movie. And that sets up a bunch of spooky stuff. This is one that you cannot find on Letterboxd. I've talked to Curtis about it. Yeah, I've talked to Curtis about it. And because it was made pre-COVID and it just got held up with so much stuff and he got busy with other things, that I think it kind of has gotten lost in the shuffle. I look forward to this coming out on DVD. I'll give him total credit. I've enjoyed all of his movies so far. I screamed out loud in this movie like twice, like jump scare wise, like 2 times in the theater. At one point, I screamed and everybody laughed, and I didn't give a shit because because the movie did what it had to do. Absolutely fun movie. Dead Girl in Apartment 3, and soundtrack from our buddies Satanic Panic 81, and he killed it on that. He does our intro for the Scary Larry's Pint of Horrors, and he does the intro for Insufferable Bastards, who at this point I've mentioned them so much they owe me like $5 for this episode. But a good friend of ours, Brian Birdsey. So if that ever does come out, Stu, if I ever am able to get you a copy or tell you where to check it out, I want you to check it out.
All right, sounds good. Next up is going to be a movie that I'm sure the Insufferable Bastards hated, because it's right down their alley, whatever the opposite of up their alley is. Free Guy, starring Ryan Reynolds. I thought this movie was great. I mean, genuinely really funny, actually had a lot of heart, took an idea that didn't need to have much going on with it, and just did some stuff with it. It was very interesting. I thought it was a ton of fun. It had another one of the best moments in a movie in this year for me with, to not give anything away, Chris Evans has a cameo at the end that is just makes the entire theater laugh whenever it happens, kind of thing.
Okay.
Just a lot of fun, really good. And I know Ryan Reynolds is just playing Ryan Reynolds over again, and that's fine. Jack Nicholson won Oscars playing Jack Nicholson over and over again. Like, actors do that. It's fine. When you have a shtick and it works and people enjoy it, why should you not do it if you can?
Some movie company is going to hand you $20 million.
Yeah.
And say, hey, Stu, be Stu. Go be Stu on set for 6 months. It's going to be 2 hours. And then, someone's going to hand you $20 million again.
Yeah.
You don't have to be an artist.
If you want to see Ryan Reynolds not be Ryan Reynolds and still make a kick-ass movie, go see Buried. But that's not what this is. This is him having fun, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, it didn't really interest me a lot when I saw the trailers for it, but it's certainly one of those movies that if it was on and I saw it, I probably would be, at worst, not in love with it, at best, like, pleasantly surprised. Like, and again, he goes a long way. He's very affable. You can't help but you can't not like Ryan Reynolds. I don't think, I think it's almost impossible.
Even what you know about him in real life, his interactions with Blake Lively and their kidding with each other on Twitter, he seems like an awesome dude. So I just want him to succeed.
Agreed. Totally agreed. All right, so my next movie was the second movie in that double feature that Larry had that night. Eric Bloomquist is another local filmmaker who has done a bunch of stuff. He doesn't just do horror. He does romantic comedies and stuff like that. He has a movie from a few years ago I really enjoyed called Long Lost, but his was called Night at the Eagle Inn. And this was also like a psychological thriller horror film. A couple of twins in their early 20s go to the Eagle Inn, which is an inn, like a resort inn, not a resort, but like a small inn in Vermont, I believe, on the anniversary of their father's disappearance. And they're going there kind of like to have closure, and just a whole bunch of crazy shit happens. Short and to the point, it was really cool. And one of the coolest experiences is seeing this movie that I realized after the film was over was as we were watching it, when there'd be a funny moment and we would laugh, or like I was with Lloyd and our friend Eve was there, and Laura, we were all sitting together. So every time there was like a moment that like we would laugh or like the audience would get crazy, I noticed over to the left of us, some a guy and a girl were very receptive to all that stuff. And when the movie ended, I realized it was the stars of the movie.
Oh, nice.
They were there. They were there with Eric and his brother Carson. And as I kind of noticed it, I kind of paid attention. It was towards the end of the movie. I think that's that kid that's on screen right now. So like, it was kind of cool because I would look over at him during moments that people were into, and you could see him like sucking it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. That's got to really help your experience when you see somebody being that happy that people are that into something he did.
Yeah, and it was a totally cool movie. Another one that I will suggest when it comes out eventually on whatever, on streaming or however, I'll put it out there for people. But yeah, Night at the Eagle Inn, check it out.
All right. So, my next one right after Free Guy. I was on a nice little stretch here. You didn't see it, or maybe you did. Maybe you have since watched it on Disney Plus. I don't know. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
I did.
Loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was beautiful. The wire fu, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon stuff at the beginning is tremendous. I love Awkwafina. I never knew how much I needed Awkwafina in the MCU until this happened. And the funny thing about this movie is my wife and I quietly left the theater. Both of us thought the other one hated it for some reason. And then we were like, all right, what'd you think? And we both found out we loved it. We were very happy. I thought it was tremendous. I have it in my top 5 of the MCU, like all the MCU movies. I think it's top 5. I thought it was, I don't want to say perfect, but it's really, really good. Simu Liao is terrific. Yeah. I want more movies with him coming out. I want him to be in the Avengers. I want him to be in whatever phases they're doing stuff with next. Him and Awkwafina. I'm all here for that. I thought this was just a ton of fun Marvel movie. Even though at the end it becomes a Marvel movie and they're shooting magic rings at each other and there's energy beams, I don't care. Like, there's a ton of good martial arts fight scenes before that. You can forgive it for MCUing out in the third act.
I enjoyed it. Not top 5 Marvel for me. I did enjoy it. I love Awkwafina. I'm a big fan. Me and my wife love Awkwafina. Is Nora from Queens. Very, very bizarre show, but she's very funny. I find her.
She's hilarious. Yeah,
I find her super attractive. Like there's and not just like physically attractive, but like her personality is just there's something about her that's very magnetic. But besides all that, the one I guess strike against this movie I could say is I liked the first 2/3 better than the last. I think it's front loaded, but then when you get to the end, there's a lull. There's a little bit of a lull where they get captured and then they end up in the mystic, the mystic realm there. But then when you get the final battle, and it's like, it's almost felt like Star Wars, where in like a Star Wars movie, you've got, Luke and Vader fighting on the Death Star, and then what's happening on Endor, and then what's happening in space. In this one, you've got Shang-Chi and his dad battling it out. You've got the giant battle going on in the fields, and then you have a dragon and a goddamn like whatever the fuck that like
giant vampire monster. Yeah.
And I was just like enthralled with that. I'm like, holy, they are swinging for the fences. And this is probably out of almost any of the Marvel characters that have been MCUized, I guess you could say, the biggest stretch of them all, right? Because if you've ever read Shang-Chi, he's the son of Fu Manchu. He's the master of Kung Fu.
Yeah.
So they've changed a lot, but who cares?
Yeah, because it's Shang-Chi. Who cares?
Yeah. I mean, and kind of just who cares, because you made it, something greater, I guess, for people to kind of view. You made this spectacular thing. And you know what? You got to give it a lot of credit, very much like Black Panther did for the African-American community a couple years ago. The representation for Asians is incredible in here. And I love Iron Man 3, so this wasn't a redeemer, but it was great to bring a character from Iron Man 3 back in and kind of learn where he's been. I love that.
It's the Kevin Feige thing, man. I'm telling you, he sees things in the past that people didn't like, and he's like, I'm going to give you a reason to want to revisit. And I know you liked Iron Man 3, and I very much didn't. But yeah, for me, that's what this movie did. It redeemed Iron Man 3.
I also want one of those like ass monsters that just has
his little pet thing.
His pet pillow with legs. Yeah, I wanted one of those. All right, so that was Shang-Chi. I was with you on that one. Netflix original movie, Jake Gyllenhaal, The Guilty. This was the one, I don't know if you saw the previews for it, where Jake Gyllenhaal is a 911 operator. The story behind it is he gets a call as he's on duty, and it's a woman in code telling him that she's been kidnapped. And it's essentially just him trying to help her and save her life. There's a twist. He is also a cop who has been suspended for and is currently awaiting trial for they never really say it, but it's like, very much like he went too far. He's a cop that went too far, right? And he's been kind of broke down to a 911 operator, and they keep bringing up like, well, today's Saturday, on Sunday your trial starts, or Monday your trial starts. So there's a lot going on there. It's like an hour and a half long. It was worth the watch. It's not a great movie, but Jake Gyllenhaal's a good actor. And he's in every fucking scene of the movie. He literally carries this movie on his back, right? There's not a scene that he's not in, I don't think. So, he really has to, and he's emoting with just the phone. I don't know if there's ever been a movie more during COVID that's come out that you could tell is a COVID movie, because it's very much like on the phone. When other people are there, they seem to be spaced apart. But it was called The Guilty. It's probably still on Netflix, and again, not great, but not worth avoiding. You know what I mean? Decent movie.
Have you ever seen a movie called The Call, starring Halle Berry and Abigail Breslin? Because it sounds exactly like that movie.
Oh, okay. I've heard of it.
Halle Berry's a 911 operator, and Abigail Breslin has been abducted, and she calls, and Halle Berry's trying to help save her over being a 911, and she has some kind of history on why she's doing 911. But you were describing this movie, and it's like, I've seen this.
Okay, well, now I'll say it. It sounds like a piece of shit because it was ripped off by The Call, or ripped off from The Call. So don't watch The Guilty.
My next one, we're going back to Lil Ray Howery. I looked up his name. It's Lil Ray Howery. The movie is called Vacation Friends, starring John Cena.
I almost watched this with my wife, and I did not.
It's cute. It's good. I mean, John Cena is settling into this role where he's just playing like John Cena in real life is Mr. Make-A-Wish, Mr. Good Guy, never went heel in WWE. So pure, so good and everything. And he's just getting a kick out of playing these like vulgar character things, whether it's Peacemaker or, a drug guy in this movie or what have you. And it's like Ryan Reynolds. Like, if he makes his entire career playing essentially this character, I'm fine with it, because he's doing a really good job and he carries this movie.
Okay.
It's very entertaining.
I kind of wanted to check it out, and it was one of those things where Lindsay was just like home one day and was like, do you mind if I watch this? And I was like, I put it off long enough. Go ahead and watch it. And I think she said she enjoyed it.
It's good. It's fine. Yeah, it's not like 4-star movie or anything, but it's worth watching. It's funny.
You could refer back to Stu, Amanda, his wife, and I talking about this next movie a couple months ago. So I'm not going to say much about it other than Halloween Kills sucks, and that was it. I saw Halloween Kills with the Manster and Christopher O'Dell, and even though it sucked, we saw the first one 3 years ago, saw this one ended, we vowed we're going to the next one, but Halloween Kills absolutely blows. That's all I got for you.
I liked it. Amanda really liked it. I thought it was, I think I was comparing it to Halloween 2018, which I despised, and I was just like, oh yeah, this is better than that. And so it made me happy just by being better than that.
Michael just wants to stand in the window, man. Let him
He just wants to stand in a window in Big John and Little John's house.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Michael, you came home. Okay, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Stu, what's your next movie?
My next one, boy, I'm kind of catching up to you here. It's kind of shocking. But the movie I have right before Halloween Kills was Edgar Wright's newest movie, Last Night in Soho.
I did not see that. Didn't interest me at all.
So good. In the rankings of just Edgar Wright movies, it's definitely ahead of Baby Driver, definitely ahead of The World's End. And then, boy, the other 4 movies are what? I mean, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Like, it's tough to beat those out in my mind because I adore all 3 of those. But another really good movie that had some third act problems like we had talked about with some others, but not enough that it bothered me whatsoever. I still came out of this, like, I think it's top 5 in the year for me. Really good. Just Edgar Wright doing Edgar Wright things, but not being funny, which you kind of always suspect. It's just good to see him, doing new things.
Okay. I will check it out eventually. It never really appealed to me. All right. My next one, Joe and I did an episode on this not too long ago, so I won't get too far into it. Dune, the 2021 version. They, shortly after we watched it and did our episode, announced they were going to make part 2, which so much of this hinged on. I think my biggest problem with the movie was that I watched it on HBO Max. This is obviously a movie built for movie theaters. It is. It's sweeping. It's epic. There's 16 different scenes of our lead hero having a vision of Zendaya. It's a fine movie. When 2 comes out, I will check it out. But I'm not like a lot of people who were sucking this thing's dick. I did enjoy it, but nothing too great.
I had no interest in it. I just never got around to seeing it. I think I saw like 10 minutes of it because I walked in the room while Amanda and one of our guests was watching it, and then I was just like, all right, this is whatever.
Yeah. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. And Joe loved it, and I think Joe was very hyped for part 2. And I'm kind of just like, yeah, I'm glad they're making it because this movie really would be anticlimactic without it. Yeah. And I hope part 2 can really up the ante, but I don't care. I'm not gonna. We joked around about the whole idea of like dying before a movie comes out. I'm not hanging that on this. I'm not hanging that on this. You know what I mean? All right, Stu, what's your next one?
My next one is one I just watched recently. More Shudder horror, VHS 94. So the third or fourth movie in the VHS franchise, which I didn't even know there was a franchise of this. Real bad. And I think from what I've seen of the VHS movies, they have a nice little thing going where the stories and the movie as a whole just get progressively worse until you do not care about anything going on at the end. This has a fun first story. It's not particularly good, but it's funny. And it ends on what is my line of dialogue of 2021, which is Hail Ratma. But just watch it for the first story, get to Hail Ratma at the end. It's worth it. The second story is actually kind of a creepy horror story. Everything after it is utter trash. The through story, wraparound story, whatever you call it, that carries throughout, terrible. Just not good, but watch it for Hail Ratma and stick around for the second story and then bail.
Okay, I saw VHS 1, as it was known, VHS at the time, years ago, and my memory of that was good opening story, which was about like a succubus.
The Batgirl.
Yes, good ending story with the guys that go to the party and they end up like walking in on like a satanic ritual, and then like 4 or 5 who the fuck cares in the middle stories. So very much I understand that. Okay, VHS 94. My next one, No Time to Die. I watched this on Thanksgiving. The new James Bond film. I really wanted to see it in the theaters, but COVID and the fact that it's 2 hours and 43 fucking minutes long.
Oh Jesus, it's that long.
No, the joke, No Time to Die, is like, sure there is. 204. I know. So 2 hours and 43 minutes, James Bond. I'm a Bond fan. It's the last of the Daniel Craig Bond movies. They have been wildly uneven. Casino Royale and Skyfall are as good as everybody says. Quantum of Solace and Skyfall are kind of on the
Skyfall
other end
twice.
Quantum of Solace and Spectre are on the other end of they're not that great. This one is solidly in the middle. A lot of good action sequences. The villain played by Rami Malek, who obviously Mr. Robot and Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody. He's a good actor, but man, is he a terribly written villain. Mm-hmm. He's played like a petulant emo child. I couldn't get into it. I will say that there is a 15-minute sequence in the middle of the movie where Ana de Armas plays a CIA operative that James Bond has to work with during one mission. And she's in an evening gown. She's gorgeous. And then her character, who is, when she meets James Bond, it seems to be very much like new on the job. Like, she keeps making jokes about how, she just got done with training and she thinks she could do this. And she's a total kick-ass character. When the chips fall, everybody always saying, make the next 007 a female or next James Bond a female. Don't make James Bond a female. Take this character you introduced and spin her off.
Just do a spinoff, yeah.
Do a spinoff. People will enjoy it. And it's Ana de Armas, so nobody's going to go.
Ana de Armas is Knives Out, right?
Correct.
Okay, yeah.
Correct. I dislike that movie, but I have no problem watching her for 2 hours. So yeah, No Time to Die. It's fine. It's eventually with all the other Bond movies, I'll watch them again. But it kind of wasn't the swan song I had hoped for. All right, Stu, what's your next one?
Oh boy, I just realized VHS 94 was the last one I watched. We are on a stretch of real winners coming up for movies that I've seen. The next one is Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
Oof.
It's what these movies did as an error was if they had just made these like a buddy odd couple series of like Tom Hardy talking to Tom Hardy doing a growly alien voice while sitting in his apartment and they're arguing about eating chickens or whatever, great. I'll watch that. But then they keep throwing in evil symbiotes to fight, and it's just, no, this is the worst part of these movies. Woody Harrelson as an evil symbiote, no good. Guy from the first movie as an evil symbiote, no good.
Yeah.
I just want Tom Hardy talking to himself because that's the highlight of these movies. And this movie just does everything the first movie does. Like, oh, they don't get along, and oh, his wife has to wear the costume for a second to get it to him. Like, they just took what people liked from the first movie. It's just the first movie. It's not worth seeing at all. They introduce Shriek, and she is just a plot device. Like, she has no characterization. She is just there to give something for Carnage to be mad about. It's not good.
I have no problem.
There's one good movie. There's one good part of the whole movie where they're about to fight Carnage for the first time, and Venom goes, "All right, time to die." And Eddie's like, "Yeah, that's a good attitude." And Venom goes, "No, I mean us. We are going to die."
Yeah, I dislike the first one. Venom has never been a favorite comic book character of mine. The exact opposite. It's the one I've never cared about. You know, I love the black costume for Spider-Man, and I would have been fine if it just was the black costume, but you know, not this alien symbiote and the whole thing. But I get it. He's a super popular character. He just had a huge run in the comics that, you know, the Donny Cates did that was like fucking like selling like hotcakes. So I get it. The movie probably did well. Kurt Spieler, who we mentioned a little bit ago, the Dead Girl in Apartment 3. Larry showed his next movie, which we talked about a little bit recently, and I'll just go through it real quickly. New York Ninja. Vinegar Syndrome. They are a company that takes like buy film and do things with film and put them back together in the whole 9 yards. They bought a film called New York Ninja from 1984 that was not completed by the director, John Liu, I think the guy's name is. He's also the star. It's sat there for 35 years. Curtis gets a hold of it. The guys at Vinegar Syndrome say, "Hey, Curtis, put it back together. Hire celebrity, voice actors to dub things in. Write a new script. Blah blah blah." He takes it all. He re-puts it together to formulate a actual story. Reads lips to write, actual dialogue. It is just a fucking fantastically fun movie. Again, it's from 1984, but it was released in 2021, so it counts. The New York Ninja is a local cameraman for a news crew whose wife is murdered in this citywide kind of like crime wave of women being kidnapped and murdered. So he decides he's had enough. He dons the mantle of New York Ninja, and at different points he goes out to exact revenge. The villain in the movie is like nuclear powered. It's very odd. It's a laugh a minute though.
I was going to say, here's
craziness.
Here's
absolute
the question
craziness.
I have about this based on, how it got made and what it came from and what it is. Is it in the spirit of the movie that was actually made, or is it kind of like a self-parody of itself? Like,
I think it's in
does Vinegar Syndrome turn it into like a joke of what it was trying to, like, is it Mystery Science Theatering itself?
No. Nope.
Okay.
I think it's absolutely in the spirit of what probably the original dialogue was. It's just hyper amplified, because this is one of those movies, and when I use this as a reference, this movie would fit in 100% with Larry's Saturday night features during COVID.
Okay.
Right? This would fit in 100%, and those movies all did that on purpose. You know what I mean? Like, this very much fits in with that. So
okay.
Yeah, I picked up the DVD set there. I still have not watched the making of, and I'm chomping at the bit. I got to check it out because I can't wait to see like kind of like the process how they did it. All right, Stu, what's your next movie?
The movie I did with Andrew over at the Domcast this year, Escape the Undertaker, which I don't even know if it counts as a movie, but it's on Letterboxd, so I'm going with it. It's just a choose your own adventure game, kind of, but it's a movie. You just control it with your Roku remote through Netflix. It's the three members of the New Day, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, and Big E. They go to the Undertaker's house and they want to steal his urn
Of course.
to make them more powerful wrestlers and entertainers. It's not good at all. Here's the problem with it is the three members of the New Day, all individually, wildly charismatic guys. I will watch YouTube videos of them all day. Incredibly entertaining off the cuff guys. And then you watch this and you can tell it's all scripted dialogue and it's such a waste of their talents. Cause like Big E, I think in particularly delivers the line where he introduces himself and it's so bad. Like you can tell, oh, there's no way the New Day guys came up with this. This was written for them and they're not even enjoying delivering this.
And did you say it and I missed it, or am I thinking this? Is this like a choose your own adventure thing?
Yes.
Where you can make things happen? Yeah. Oh, Christ. Yeah. Okay. All right. Did you and Andrew at least have similar stories, or did you like veer off?
I don't remember because we spent most of the episode talking about the movies who made us series with the Halloween. Like we just kind of touched on this at the end and we were like, yeah. Okay. It's this. You know what? I don't think you can really have it's not Bandersnatch where like the story wildly diverges. I think pretty much everything goes it's just a little bulge in the middle and then it goes right back to where it's going to go.
Okay. All right. Fair. My next one is HBO Max, I think, exclusive. I watched this with my wife. We always try to get in like a Christmas movie here or there. 8-Bit Christmas.
I've heard of this. Okay.
Saw the trailer for it, and I'll tell you, it looked like it had the heart of like kind of like a good 90s Christmas film. Like, and yeah, you might laugh at me saying this, like something like a Jingle All the Way. Like,
yeah, okay. That's exactly what I thought it was going to be like.
Fun, ridiculous, but good, like old-fashioned Christmas film. Neil Patrick Harris is telling his daughter the story about how when he was like 12, he got his Nintendo. Okay. And I thought, okay, great. And Steve Zahn is in it. He plays his father when he's younger. I thought this looks really good. It's not. It's unfortunately not good. It has some moments in it that are interesting, but it just did not work out. And I wanted to like this, man, because I thought, this would be nice. It'd be nice to have a newer Christmas film that, we all like your age, my age, we all had that video game system or whatever that we needed at one point. And it's about like this kid's like desire that's greater than anything in the world to get that. And in the end, it's not very funny. It's just not very good. So that's all I got to say about that. 8-Bit Christmas. Younger kids might enjoy it. So anybody listening out there, if you have younger kids and you didn't see it this year or, going into 2022, throw it on. It'll be there again. And maybe they'll enjoy it. But as a 46-year-old guy, desperately hoping to enjoy it, it didn't work.
That's a shame. Yeah. My next one is Antlers. And what I want to know is, when did every horror movie start becoming about Wendigo?
Yeah, I want to see this one.
It's all right. Atmosphere, acting, very good. Did you see The Babadook?
No, never.
Oh, okay. Well, The Babadook is very heavy-handed in the monster is this. The monster is this particular mental health issue. It's very heavy-handed. It's like how It Follows is like the monster is STDs.
Right.
The Babadook is like the monster is grief. In this movie, the monster is opiate addiction. It's so heavy-handed. And there are just plot points that don't go anywhere. Kerry Russell is in it, and her character is an alcoholic who was abused by her dad. But if you take either of those elements out of the story, literally nothing has changed.
Okay.
They don't need to be there. They're just wasting time. Atmospherically and for the performance of the little kid, really good. Nothing else worth really seeing.
We did that episode last year in our 2020 in our trailers episode, and then COVID kiboshed it.
Yeah.
And then like a month ago, someone, maybe it was Larry, had said to me, I watched Antlers. And I'm like, fucking Antlers. I'm like, we talked about that like forever ago. He's like, yeah, it just came out. I'm like, man, COVID has had such a weird effect on entertainment. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, you're like, holy shit, that came out finally? Okay. So Antlers. All right, I only got a couple left. Insufferable Bastards, who now owe me $40 for this episode's worth of promotion. Brian Spears is, as we've talked about, a makeup and effects guy, and he worked on this movie. They talked about it, and I video on demand rented it, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. Black Friday, it's called.
With Ash.
With Bruce Campbell,
Yes.
and Devin Sawa from Idle Hands and Final Destination.
I couldn't find this streaming for free, and I have too many free movies to watch, so I didn't want to pay for it.
I paid like $5 for it, and I was fine with it because Brian worked on it, so I felt like I was supporting him, and I actually liked it. It's essentially a movie about a toy store retail crew, and it's Black Friday, and they're working Black Friday night, and some crazy shit starts to happen. I'll leave it at that. Bruce Campbell plays the store manager, who's like a real corporate kiss ass. He doesn't play like the tough guy or anything.
Yeah.
Pretty funny. And the girl, there's a Latina girl who plays like the lead female, and I thought, man, I've never seen her before, but she looks familiar. She's the little girl from Pan's Labyrinth, all grown up.
I saw you say that somewhere. That's right.
I'm like, holy fuck, that's crazy. Because Pan's Labyrinth at this point now is like 15 years old.
Yeah,
but you kind of forget that, And unless she's had a career in like maybe another country, Spain or wherever she's from, you don't know her here, But it's definitely worth checking out. Black Friday, if you have not seen it. It definitely is one that works really well around Christmas time, but you can enjoy it any time of the year.
All right. Oh, Jesus, my next one. I saw this movie. I feel like I'm fighting upstream on my opinions of it, but I know I texted you as soon as I left and said, don't waste your time. This movie is garbage. Ghostbusters Afterlife. People like this movie. They're wrong. I don't know what to tell you. Like, they're just wrong. There's nothing here. This is as soulless of a movie as you can make. I have said, like Malignant is a movie that swung for the fences. And boy, you may think it missed and struck out, but it swung that bat as hard as it fucking could to make that movie. Fucking Ghostbusters Afterlife is a bunt in comparison. Like, they didn't even try. They were just like, what do people like? Stay Puft Marshmallow Man? Great. Keymaster and Gatekeeper? Great. We're just going to do that again. Somebody saying there is no me, only Zool? Gonna do that again. Gozer showing up? They're going to cross the streams at Gozer to defeat her? It's just the first Ghostbusters, except PG-13ified. Like, I didn't need this. Even the 4 kid characters who were taking up the mantle of the Ghostbusters are all just the archetypes of the original Ghostbusters.
All right,
there was no reason for this movie.
So controversial opinion time. Whether you liked it or not, do you feel like at least the 2016 Ghostbusters tried something different? You know what I mean? Like, do you respect that movie more now that this one like took a swing and missed?
The 2016 Ghostbusters is not a good movie. I think it was better than this one. I did not like this movie. Very few movies have I sat through in theaters and just been mad at their existence. I was mad that they wasted my time making this movie. At least with the 2016 Ghostbusters, for as bad as it is, Leslie Jones was hilarious in it. And whenever she did stuff, I laughed. Yeah. I thought a lot of the rest of the humor didn't land, but I thought she was great, so I laughed at it. This movie, like, the effects are good, but boy, you have Paul Rudd and you make Paul Rudd boring. How do you do that? I didn't laugh once at this movie, and it's a Ghostbusters movie. Come on.
Yeah, when I saw that Paul Rudd was in this, even before I'd heard whether you liked it or who didn't, I thought this seems like the kind of movie Paul Rudd signed up to do just because it's Ghostbusters. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like because he wasn't like they didn't make it like he's a star of it. He just kind of plays someone's teacher, right? So he's like in it, but he's not
just in it.
He's just in it.
He is the Rick Moranis character from Ghostbusters 84.
Okay.
He's that character. Down to he gets taken over by the dog and becomes the Keymaster.
I have said it a million times, and I'll say it a million times more, my opinion on Ghostbusters. I love the first one. Between this one and the 2016, I don't know why everybody's so surprised, because they couldn't make a good sequel in 89, right? The Ghostbusters 2, it's fine, but it is nowhere near as good as the first one. And you had all the same writers, and you had the same director, and you had the same 4 fucking guys. So if those guys couldn't recapture the magic, then why could 4 different female comedians do it 20 years, 25 years later? And then why could like this next generation do it 5 years after that? It's just, sometimes it just doesn't work.
Here's what Ghostbusters Afterlife didn't change. Ghostbusters 2 is still the second best Ghostbusters movie.
There you go. Right. There you go. All right. My last one, I watched it that came out. It actually came out earlier in the year.
Oh, this is your last one?
Okay. This is my last one.
I have
watched
5 more.
Okay, you could go right on a run at the end there.
Lightning round.
My last one came out. It's a Hulu original. It came out in like March of this year. Heard a lot of the podcasts I listened to. They all liked it. I'd never gotten around to it. Stuck at home with COVID last week. Finally watched it and immediately went, why the fuck did I wait so long? It's just the definition of a fun fucking action movie, Boss Level.
Oh, is that actually good? Okay.
It's actually good. It is actually good. Frank Grillo, I always liked him. Yes, it does have the onus of Mel Gibson's the villain in the movie, and I know that it seems like we've forgiven him, but he's still an ick fuck. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I still when he shows up, I have such weird feelings with Mel Gibson because like he's in some of my favorite movies ever. I could watch those and go, okay, well this happened long before we knew, and who knew what kind of guy he was then? Maybe he became that guy. But every time I see him now and stuff after, I'm just like, you're the worst. But
the thing about Mel Gibson is he's not Kevin Spacey. Like Kevin Spacey is a criminal creep.
Right.
Mel Gibson's just a shithole dude.
You're right.
There's a difference there. Like
you're right.
I will never support Kevin Spacey again. If Mel Gibson wants to have a resurgence, like I can just not respect his views and think that he's a scumbag person, but still be like, all right, well, you're not criminal as far as I know.
You're right, but what I mean is it still bothers me like to
and it should
the good news about Hollywood is that there's probably many more that we don't know think that way that we don't know, so we're like, yes. Oh cool, this guy no problem, because I don't know that he's like a fucking Nazi sympathizer, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know this stuff. In any case, none of that matters. Boss Level is a very cool movie. Groundhog Day action take. Frank Grillo plays this ex-SEAL, Navy SEAL guy who gets caught in a continuous loop. He has to teach himself how to get through the day. He at the beginning of the movie, you find out he can only get to 12:48 every day, and he gets killed no matter what. He gets through a bunch of shit. 12:48, he dies every day. He finally gets past that point, and he has to keep on teaching himself while he's also learning what's happening to him. And then there's a whole subplot about his ex-wife or his ex-girlfriend and his kid, and he starts to make it a point that he's going to start doing things a little bit differently. I really enjoyed it. I finished watching it and went, fuck, I shouldn't have waited so long to watch that. and Frank Grillo it has the Lloyd effect. I looked it up afterwards. The guy's 57 years old, and wow. He looks like, he's a fucking Greek god. There's scenes where he doesn't have his shirt on that is just like, what the hell? This guy is awesome. This guy is awesome. All right, Stu, my battery is getting low. We're going long. So why don't you do a lightning round with your last 5, and then we'll do our favorite and three favorites real quick and our low.
All right, lightning round here. Not as bad as you've heard, but not good is Eternals. The first act is what kills it here. It gets progressively better, but you could shave half an hour out of the first act of this movie and it'd be perfectly fine. And the other bad thing is the last act writes out Kumail Nanjiani, who is the best character in the movie.
Yeah, no interest in that.
Next up, just watched it last night, Disney's Encanto. It's a Disney movie. It's charming. It's funny. Little bit forced at the end, like they kind of resolve everything in a rush, but it's charming and funny. Netflix movie, Red Notice. Complete waste of The Rock. You could have cast any musclehead in his role, but Gal Gadot and Ryan Reynolds are charming. It's completely inoffensive.
Yeah, it didn't look great to me, so I just avoided it. But I could see where that's the kind of thing where you just throw it on and you fucking throw your brain out and you'll either have a good time with it or just go, whatever.
Yeah, nothing about the movie made me mad. It's just not particularly good either. There's a really good parkour fight scene very early on, and that's the peak of the movie.
Okay.
Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. It's probably the best Resident Evil movie, but what the fuck does that say about anything? It does some stuff right, but it has possibly the worst dialogue in any movie I've seen this year. And that's like all 217 that I've seen, not just like the dialogue is terrible.
Yeah. So Wizard did an episode on that and brought that up a few times. It's embarrassing. And
yeah. Characters just repeatedly being like, I, Jill Valentine, am going to do this. And it's like, yeah, we know you're a character from the game. We get it.
Yeah, that's no good.
And then last movie I saw of 2021 that came out in 2021, the best movie of 2021, Spider-Man No Way Home. There's nothing I can say about it that other people haven't said. It more than lives up to the hype. It's incredible.
Go over to Stu's podcast, Stu World Order, and he did a little bonus episode. So if you want to hear his full thoughts on that, I have not seen it yet. I'm not like
you read spoilers.
The day it came out, I was like, I don't care. I really don't care. I will go see it eventually. It's just a case of when. So that's your favorite number one. What would you say out of that list that we just gave are your two maybe others that you really enjoyed a lot?
My number two, because I do have these ranked on Letterboxd, my number two was actually Shang-Chi. Big fan of that. And my number three, kind of a toss-up between Free Guy and Nobody.
What was the low grade?
Toss-up between VHS 94, Honeydew, and Escape the Undertaker. Escape the Undertaker is probably objectively the worst, but none of them are good.
If I had to go with, I would say my top favorites for this year, I'd say The Suicide Squad might be the number one. Boss Level is probably hanging in there. Number two. I really, 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 really fucking enjoyed that. And number three is tough. It's probably out of all of those, enjoyment-wise, it might sound silly, but I might even go Bad Trip, the Netflix movie with Eric Andre. It was just so, because like I did like No Time to Die quite a bit, despite like some of the problems and the overlength to it, and I did like Shang-Chi quite a bit, but they just maybe didn't hit me. You know what I mean? Like enough to say I would love to watch that again right now. If Bad Trip was on right now, if I walked out in my living room and it was starting, I'd watch it again. It made me laugh. It was ridiculous. And I could go easily. I think a lot of people from listening to the show would say they think Halloween Kills would be what I'd say is easily my least favorite.
Poor Halloween Kills.
No. But what I was going to say is the surprise is I'd still rather watch Halloween Kills any day of the week than Malignant. I hated Malignant. I fucking hated it. They both have the same star rating in my Letterboxd of 1 star. Halloween Kills, like you said about Malignant, they swung for the fences and it's different. And I can appreciate that. But I would still rather watch something I'm comfortable with, which is just a dumb slasher movie that, you know, even though it's egregious with its stupidness, its stupidity, I can still kind of enjoy bits and pieces of. Like, you know, I kind of enjoy the Big John, Little John stuff, kind of. There's things about it I see, you know, the ridiculousness of it kind of make me laugh. Malignant just annoyed the fuck out of me.
You and my wife would be on the same page. That would probably be her worst of the year, too.
If I had to, on the third best, if it wasn't Bad Trip, it might actually be No Time to Die. I know I didn't sound glowing about it. I really did enjoy it, but it just comes down to what came before and some of its big misses. So that would probably maybe really be my true answer for my third. But Boss Level and The Suicide Squad definitely tops. All right, Stu, I thought this would be fun. I'm like, this would be a quick hour episode. We're 2 hours.
2 hours later.
But you know what? It's always fun with you. Why don't you tell everybody out there where to find all your awesome stuff right now?
SWOproductions.com. That's the website. The podcast on all your podcatchers is called Stu World Order. And follow me on Twitter at SWO Productions.
Do it now. Do it right now. Pint of Comics at Pint of Comics on Twitter, at Pint_O_Comics on Instagram. Go to Facebook, Pint of Comics. Hey, if you listen on Spotify to my show or Stu's show or both shows, go now to our individual page and hit rate, right? Hit rate. Give us whatever
you can rate on Spotify now.
Yeah, you can rate on Spotify. I gotta say, I love my audience, man. I love you guys. Thank you for listening. I throw this out there every once in a while, and I get nothing. Pretty fucking pleased with sugar on top. When you're done listening to this,
I think we all have already.
That same
new
phone,
audience.
That same phone you're listening to this on, just go. Let's do this guy a favor. Go to iTunes. Because the more you guys do that, the algorithms, the computerific algorithms see it, and then Pint of Comics will show up a little bit further on someone's list, and then someone else might go, hey, I love comics, let me listen to this show, and then get really mad when they realize
it's not about comics at all.
Oh, boy. All right, so I'm John, that's Stu. Stu, say the words.
See ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!